The gymnasium of Westview Middle School smelled of polished wood and stale popcorn, its bleachers packed with parents and kids buzzing with anticipation for the annual charity auction. I'm Lucas, 12 years old in the fall of 2010, and I sat on a metal folding chair near the front, my sneakers scuffing the floor as I fidgeted. My sister, Mia, 14, stood on the stage, her ponytail bouncing as she presented her contribution to the auction, a hand-painted birdhouse she'd spent weeks crafting in our garage. It was intricate, with tiny shingles and a perch shaped like a twig, a testament to her patience and creativity. I thought it was incredible, but I knew better than to say so out loud, not with Mom sitting next to me, her arms crossed and her lips pressed into a thin line. We lived in a small town in Ohio, the kind where everyone knew your business and gossip spread faster than wildfire. Our house, a faded split level on Maple Street, was a stage for Mom's performances, charming to neighbors, tyrannical behind closed doors. She'd raised Mia and me alone since Dad left when I was 4, spinning a story that he'd abandoned us because Mia was too much to handle. I'd believed her for years, picturing him as a shadowy figure who couldn't cope with fatherhood. Mom's narrative was law in our house, and her rules were clear. Boys were to be celebrated, girls were to serve. She'd drill this into us with sharp words and sharper glares, her favoritism a wedge between Mia and me. That night at the auction, Mia's birdhouse was the talk of the crowd. She'd worked tirelessly, sketching designs after homework and scavenging wood scraps from Mr. Delaney's hardware store. When the bidding started, hands shot up, and the price climbed to $75, a fortune for a kid's project. Mia's face lit up, her smile so rare it caught me off guard. I clapped, forgetting myself, but Mom's hand clamped onto my wrist, her nails digging in. "Don't make a fool of yourself," she hissed. When Mia joined us after her presentation, clutching a certificate for best craft, Mom didn't acknowledge her. Instead, she turned to me, her voice syrupy. "Lucas, why don't you show them your soccer trophy next year? That's something worth bidding on." Mia's smile faded, and I felt a pang of guilt, but stayed silent. I'd learned early that contradicting Mom was a losing game. At home, over a dinner of meatloaf and lumpy mashed potatoes, Mia couldn't contain her excitement. "I made $75 for the animal shelter," she said, her eyes bright. "They said it'll buy food for the dogs for a month." Mom barely looked up from her plate. "Why didn't you give some of that to Lucas? He could use new cleats for soccer." The air in the kitchen thickened, Mia's fork freezing mid-bite. I saw tears welling in her eyes and wanted to protest, but Mom's glare pinned me to my chair. "That's not fair," I mumbled, my voice barely audible. "She earned it." Mom's fork clattered to the table. "Don't you dare talk back to me," she snapped, her voice slicing through the room. Mia, without a word, reached into her pocket and slid a crumpled $50 bill across the table to me. I stared at it, my stomach twisting. "Take it," Mom said to me, then turned to Mia. "Stop being selfish. Mia, you're lucky Lucas even puts up with you." She forced Mia to hand over another $20, leaving her with just $5 of her earnings. Mia's shoulders slumped, and she excused herself, her footsteps heavy on the stairs. That night, I lay awake, the 70 burning a hole in my pocket. I could hear Mia crying through the wall, her sobs muffled by her pillow. The sound gnawed at me, a reminder of the sister who used to braid my hair when I was little, who'd sneak me cookies when Mom wasn't looking. I hated how Mom twisted everything, making Mia the villain and me her golden boy. The next morning, I slipped out to the corner store, using the money to buy Mia's favorite things, sour gummy worms, a sketch pad, and a set of watercolor pencils. I left them on her bed with a note. "You deserve this. Lucas." Aranas. When Mia found the gifts, her face transformed, her eyes sparkling like they hadn't in years. She tackled me in a hug, laughing. "You're the best," she whispered. But our joy was short-lived. Mom's footsteps thundered up the stairs, her face a mask of rage as she burst into Mia's room. "What the hell is this?" she shouted, holding up the sketch pad. "You manipulated Lucas into wasting his money on you." Her voice echoed, making the walls feel smaller. Mia shrank back, but I stepped forward, my voice shaky but firm. She didn't ask me to buy anything. I wanted to make her happy. Mom's expression shifted, her anger melting into a cloying smile as she turned to me. "Oh, Lucas, you're too sweet for your own good." She ruffled my hair, then fixed Mia with a cold stare. "But don't you dare take advantage of him again. If I catch you pulling this, you'll regret it." She left, the door slamming behind her. Mia's eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. I wanted to hug her, to tell her I was sorry, but fear stopped me. Mom's warning hung in the air, a promise of punishment if I crossed her. From that day, I started to see Mia the way Mom did, as a burden, someone who made life harder. I'd yell at her to do the dishes, even if they were mine. I'd demand she clean my room, blaming her for the mess. Looking back, I wasn't angry at Mia. I was terrified of Mom, and mimicking her cruelty was the easiest way to stay safe. Mia changed after the auction. Her laughter faded. Her meals grew smaller, her once bright eyes dulled by a permanent sadness. I'd hear her crying at night, but I told myself it was her fault if she could just make Mom happy. Like I did, things would be fine. I was too young to understand the words scapegoat or misogyny, too caught in Mom's web to see the truth. But deep down, I loved Mia. Beneath the yelling, the chores, the distance, she was my sister, and I wanted her to smile again. The auction incident planted a seed of doubt, a crack in Mom's narrative. I started noticing things: the way she bragged about me to neighbors while dismissing Mia, the way she'd make pancakes for me but leave Mia to fend for herself. I didn't know how to fix it, but I knew something was wrong. And as the months passed, that seed would grow, pushing me toward a truth I wasn't ready to face. The spring of 2011 brought a restless energy to our house on Maple Street. I was 13 now, in 7th grade, and Mia was 15, a freshman at Westview High. School was my escape from Mom's suffocating rules, a place where I could blend into the crowd and pretend our family was normal. But at home, the tension was a constant hum. Like a wire stretched too tight, Mom's favoritism had hardened into a routine praise for me, scorn for Mia, and I'd fallen into the role of her enforcer, yelling at Mia for chores or blaming her for Mom's bad moods. I hated myself for it, but fear kept me in line. Mom's anger was a storm, unpredictable and devastating, and I'd learned to stay out of its path. That March, I entered the school science fair, a project I'd thrown together on solar panels because my teacher, Mr. Carter, said it'd look good on my record. I wasn't passionate about it, but I worked hard, gluing charts to a trifold board and memorizing facts about renewable energy. When I won second place, a silver ribbon pinned to my display, Mom acted like I'd cured cancer. She took me to the local arcade, let me gorge on pizza and soda, and bought me a new skateboard. "My brilliant boy," she'd say, ruffling my hair in front of neighbors. Mia, sitting silently at the dinner table, was invisible to her. I noticed Mia watching me during those weeks, her expression a mix of envy and determination. She'd always been smarter than me, the kind of kid who read science magazines for fun and could name every constellation in the sky. After my science fair win, she threw herself into her own project, a study on plant growth under different light wavelengths. She'd stay up late in the garage, her desk cluttered with seedlings and notebooks, her face lit by the glow of a borrowed lamp. I'd pass by on my way to bed, pretending not to care, but secretly I admired her focus. It reminded me of the Mia who'd painted that birdhouse, The sister I'd lost to Mom's cruelty. The high school science fair was a bigger deal than mine. Held in the town community center, with judges from the local college, Mia's project was a standout. Her display sleek and professional, her data meticulously charted. I snuck into the event, skipping soccer practice, and watched from the back as she presented to the judges. Her voice steady despite the nervous twitch in her hands. When they announced her as the first-place winner, a gold medal draped around her neck, I felt a surge of pride. Her smile was electric, a glimpse of the girl she'd been before Mom's shadow swallowed her. At home, Mia couldn't wait to share the news. We sat at the kitchen table, Mom flipping through a magazine, barely listening. "Mom, I won first place at the science fair," Mia said, holding up her medal. "The judges said my project could go to regionals." Mom didn't look up. "Lucas got a silver last month." "What's your point?" Mia's face fell, but she pressed on. "But this is gold. I worked so hard." And my teacher said, "Enough." Mom snapped, slamming the magazine shut. "Boys don't like girls who show off." "Mia, you'd know that if you weren't so full of yourself." I couldn't stay silent. "Mom, that's not fair," I said, my voice louder than I intended. "Mia's project was amazing. You should be proud." The room went still, Mom's eyes narrowing as she turned to me. "Proud," she hissed, her voice low and dangerous. She stood, her chair scraping the floor, and before I could react, her hand cracked across my cheek. The sting was sharp, the force knocking me sideways. "Don't you ever talk to me like that again," she said, her face inches from mine. "And don't you dare defend her." Mia's eyes met mine, wide with shock and something else, anger, raw and shared. In that moment, something shifted. Mom's slap wasn't just a punishment, it was a revelation. She wasn't just unfair, she was wrong, cruel in a way I couldn't ignore. Mia grabbed her medal and left the kitchen, her footsteps echoing up the stairs. I followed, my cheek throbbing, and found her in her room, sitting on the floor, the medal clutched in her hands. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I shouldn't have said anything." Mia shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "It's not your fault. She's awful, Lucas, and I'm done pretending it's okay." We sat in silence, the weight of her words settling between us. That night, Mia slipped into my room after Mom went to bed, carrying a spiral notebook thick with pages. "I've been writing down everything she does," she said, her voice low. "Every time she yells, every time she hits me, every time she lies." I started it after the auction. I flipped through the notebook, my stomach churning at the entries dates. Times, detailed accounts of Mom's rages, her insults, her punishments. Some I'd witnessed, others I hadn't. Like the time she'd locked Mia in the basement for forgetting to vacuum. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "I thought you were on her side," she admitted. "But after tonight, I know you're not." I nodded, the sting of my cheek, a reminder of the truth. "I'm done being her puppet," I said. "What do we do now?" Mia's eyes hardened. "We make her pay." The science fair incident was a turning point, a crack in the foundation of Mom's control. I started noticing things I'd ignored, the way she'd tell neighbors Mia was troubled while praising me. The way she'd give me the last slice of pie but make Mia wash the dishes first. At school, I confided in my friend Ethan, who said his mom never treated his sister like that. His words echoed in my head, a hint that our life wasn't normal. Mia and I developed a system to stay safe. We'd leave notes in an old copy of The Hobbit on my bookshelf, a place Mom never touched. We documented everything, her insults, her threats, the way she'd check my phone or barge into our rooms. One afternoon, I came home to find Mia in the bathroom, her hands shaking as she touched the back of her head. Patches of hair were missing, the scalp red and raw. She grabbed me, she whispered. Because I didn't fold the laundry right. I took a photo with my flip phone, my hands trembling with rage. Mia made me promise not to confront Mom, but I couldn't unsee the damage. That night, I lay awake, thinking about Dad. Mom said he'd left because of Mia, but what if that was a lie? What if he was out there, wanting us? The question burned, a spark that would soon ignite a plan to change everything. By the summer of 2011, Mia and I were allies in a silent rebellion, our bond forged in whispered conversations and shared secrets. I was 13, lanky and awkward, my voice cracking at inconvenient moments. Mia, now 15, was quieter but fiercer, her anger a steady flame beneath her calm exterior. Our house on Maple Street felt like a battlefield, Mom's moods dictating the rhythm of our days. She'd swing from cloying affection baking cookies for me, calling me her little star, to vicious rages, usually aimed at Mia. I'd stopped yelling at Mia to please Mom, but the guilt of my past cruelty lingered, a weight I couldn't shake. Our system of notes in The Hobbit kept us connected. We'd write about Mom's latest outbursts, like the time she threw Mia's science books across the room for cluttering the kitchen, or the way she'd check my phone for texts, convinced I was plotting against her. We documented everything, building a case we didn't yet know how to use. At school, I started paying attention to other families. My friend Ethan's mom, Mrs. Larson, treated her kids equally, asking about their day with genuine interest. Their house, cluttered with board games and family photos, was a stark contrast to ours, where Mom's framed portraits of me hung alone, Mia's school pictures mysteriously absent. One humid July evening, Mom announced she was visiting her sister, Aunt Linda, for the weekend. It was a rare opportunity, a chance to breathe without her shadow over us. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, Mia grabbed my arm. "We need to search her room," she said, her voice urgent. "There's got to be something proof of what she's done." We started in her bedroom, a place we rarely entered. It smelled of her perfume, heavy and floral, the air thick with her presence. We rifled through drawers, checked under the bed, and flipped through her desk, careful to leave everything as we found it. In the closet, behind a stack of shoeboxes, Mia found a small locked safe, its metal surface cold and unyielding. "She keeps the key on her keychain," Mia said, her voice tense. "We'll never get it." I'd learned to pick locks after locking myself out of my room one too many times, a skill honed with a paperclip and YouTube tutorials. "Let me try," I said, grabbing a clip from Mom's desk and bending it into shape. It took 15 minutes, my fingers sweaty and cramped, but the lock clicked open. Inside was a treasure trove of secrets, court documents, old letters, and a stack of birthday cards addressed to us. Unopened, Mia's hands shook as she pulled out a letter dated 2007, 3 years after Dad left. The envelope was yellowed, the handwriting unmistakably his. "She said he never wrote," Mia whispered, her voice breaking. She lied. We sat on the floor, the letter between us, too scared to open it alone. I slit the envelope with a pocket knife, my heart pounding as I read aloud in a whisper. Dad wrote that he'd been trying to contact us since he left, that Mom had gotten a restraining order against him with false claims of abuse. He described his life in a town 2 hours away, working as a mechanic, and how he missed us every day. At the bottom was a phone number and an address in Canton, Ohio. "I'm still fighting for you," he wrote. "Don't give up." Mia's tears fell onto the paper, smudging the ink. All those years she said he hated me. She said it was her. She kept him away. I felt sick, the weight of Mom's lies crashing down. Every story she'd told Dad abandoning us, Mia being the problem, was a fabrication. We heard the crunch of gravel in the driveway. Mom's car back early. Panic surged through us. I shoved the letter into my pocket and we scrambled to lock the safe and return it to the closet. Mia straightened the bed while I darted to the bathroom, pretending to wash my hands as Mom's footsteps reached the stairs. "Where are you two?" she called, her voice sharp with suspicion. "Just in the bathroom," I shouted, my heart racing. I stepped into the hall, forcing a smile. "How's Aunt Linda?" Mom's eyes narrowed, but she didn't press. "Fine," she said, brushing past me to her room. I held my breath, terrified she'd notice something out of place. But she emerged minutes later, oblivious. Mia slipped out of her room, her face pale but composed, and we exchanged a glance that said everything. We had to act. That night, I couldn't sleep. The letter hidden under my mattress, its words burned into my mind. Dad was out there, wanting us, but Mom's control was absolute. Her rages, her surveillance, her ability to twist the truth. I borrowed Ethan's phone at school the next day, my hands shaking as I dialed Dad's number. It rang 5 times, and I was about to hang up when a voice answered. "Hello, is this James Carter?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Yes," he said, cautious. "Who's this?" "It's Lucas, your son." There was a pause, then a choked sob. "Lucas, oh my God, is that really you?" We talked for 10 minutes, the lunch bell cutting us short. He confirmed the letter's truth. Mom's lies, the restraining order, his years of failed custody battles. He asked about Mia, and I told him about her science fair win, her strength despite Mom's cruelty. "I'll help you," he said, "but we have to be careful. Your mom's unpredictable." I promised to tell Mia and call again. That afternoon, in the school library, I found Mia between the stacks and spilled everything. She cried, her hands covering her face, but there was hope in her tears. "He wants us," she said. "All this time, he wanted us." We made a plan to call Dad again, to figure out how to escape. But Mom's behavior shifted that week, her sweetness a mask that unnerved me more than her anger. She made my favorite lasagna, let me stay up late watching movies, and gave me back my phone after grounding me for a minor infraction. I knew the pattern blow up. Then, bribe. Mia and I stayed vigilant. Our notes in The Hobbit, growing more urgent. We were on the edge of something big, and the letter was our lifeline. The fall of 2011 was the season of secrets and strategy. Mia and I, now 15 and 13, were no longer just surviving Mom's reign on Maple Street, we were plotting our escape. The letter from Dad, hidden in my math textbook, was our beacon, proof that there was a life beyond Mom's lies. We called him weekly from Ethan's phone at school, each conversation a lifeline. Dad lived in Canton, working as a mechanic, his apartment small but ready for us. "I've got a bunk bed set up," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "It's yours when you're ready." But getting there was the problem. Mom had legal custody, and the restraining order against Dad made contact risky. We needed a plan, and we needed it to be airtight. Mom's behavior grew erratic. She'd check my phone at random, barge into our rooms without knocking, and once followed me to soccer practice, watching from her car like a hawk. Her sweetness, pancakes for me. New clothes felt like a trap, a way to keep me loyal while she tightened her grip on Mia. One evening, she caught Mia sketching in the living room and tore the paper to shreds, screaming that she was wasting time. Mia didn't cry, but her silence was louder than any sob. I took a photo of the torn sketch later, adding it to our growing file of evidence. We decided to confide in Mrs. Thompson, our school counselor, a soft-spoken woman with kind eyes and a knack for listening. During lunch, we met her in her office, the air smelling of coffee and old books. We showed her Mia's notebook, the photos of her injuries, bruises from Mom's grip, the patches of missing hair, and told her about Dad's letter. Mrs. Thompson's face grew serious as she read. her pen pausing over her notepad. "I'm a mandated reporter," she said gently. "I have to report this to Child Protective Services, but I'll make sure you're heard." We nodded, fear and hope warring inside us. "Mrs. Thompson," called in the principal. "Mr. Hayes," and we repeated our story, our voices shaking but steady. Mr. Hayes asked if we felt safe at home. Mia hesitated, then said, "Not really. But we don't want her to know we told." He promised to file the report discreetly, but warned that a social worker would visit soon. The thought of Mom's reaction made my stomach churn. That night, Mom was in a rare good mood, ordering Chinese takeout and letting us watch a comedy on TV. Mia and I played along, forcing smiles. But I couldn't eat, my mind racing. Was this her calm before the storm? Did she suspect something? The next day, a woman named Miss Rivera from CPS was waiting in our driveway when we got home from school. Mom wasn't back from work, and the sight of Ms. Rivera's clipboard sent a jolt of panic through me. She sat us down at the kitchen table, her questions direct but kind. "Tell me about your mom," she said. "What happens when she's upset?" Mia took the lead, describing the yelling, the hitting, the way Mom favored me. I added details about the science fair, the auction, the lies about Dad. Miss Rivera took notes, her expression unreadable, and asked to see Mia's injuries. Mia showed her the thinning patches of hair, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. We heard Mom's car pull in, and my heart stopped. Miss Rivera noticed our fear and said, "Go to your rooms. I'll handle this." We obeyed, but I left my door cracked, listening as Mom's voice rose in the kitchen. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" she demanded. Miss Rivera explained the CPS report, her tone calm but firm. Mom switched to her charming act, insisting she was a loving mother, that Mia was troubled and making things up. She refused Ms. Rivera's request to let us stay with a relative temporarily, threatening to call her lawyer. After Ms. Rivera left, Mom called us downstairs, her face a mask of calm. "Dinner's in an hour," she said, as if nothing had happened. The silence was suffocating, her eyes cold as they flicked between us. That night, I woke to a crash. Mom in the living room, a broken lamp at her feet, her voice slurring as she ranted on the phone. "Those kids need to learn their place," she said. I texted Mia from my flip phone. "We have to leave. Now." Así. We packed in whispers, stuffing backpacks with clothes, the letter, and our notebook. Mia's window led to the garage roof, a risky but quiet exit. She went first, moving like a shadow, and I followed, my backpack catching on the frame. As I dropped to the yard, Mom's voice echoed inside, screaming my name. She'd noticed we were gone. We ran, our sneakers pounding the pavement, not daring to look back. We ended up at a 24-hour gas station a mile away, its fluorescent lights harsh against the night. Huddled behind a soda machine, we debated our next move. Calling Dad was risky. Mom could track my phone. Wow. A clerk, a woman named Tanya with dyed purple hair, noticed us and approached. "You kids okay?" she asked, her voice gentle. Mia broke down, tears streaming as she told Tanya about Mom, the abuse, our escape. Tanya listened, then offered her phone. "Call someone you trust," she said. I dialed Dad, my hands shaking. He answered on the first ring, his voice steady but urgent. "I'm coming," he said. "Stay with that woman. I'll be there in 2 hours." We waited in the gas station, Tanya slipping us free hot cocoa and keeping an eye on the door. Mia dozed against my shoulder, exhausted, while I watched the clock, jumping at every car that passed. When Dad's pickup pulled into the lot at 2 a.m., I recognized him instantly older, with gray at his temples, but with the same kind eyes I vaguely remembered. Mia woke and ran to him, sobbing into his chest. I hesitated, then joined the hug, his arms strong around me. Tanya gave Dad her number in case we needed a witness, and we drove off, the town shrinking in the rearview mirror. Dad's apartment in Canton was a one-bedroom with peeling paint and a couch that sagged in the middle, but it felt like a palace. The spare room had a bunk bed, its sheets mismatched but clean, a space Dad had kept ready for years. Mia and I collapsed onto the beds at dawn, the adrenaline of our escape giving way to exhaustion. I woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices. Dad talking to a woman named Ms. Ellis, his lawyer. She explained that our runaway stunt complicated things legally. But our evidence, Mia's notebook, the photos, Dad's letter could support a custody case. That afternoon, 2 police officers arrived to take our statements. Officer Daniels, a burly man with a gentle voice, listened as we recounted Mom's abuse, his pen moving steadily across his notepad. He photographed Mia's injuries, his jaw tightening at the sight of her scalp. Dad's phone rang that evening. Mom, her voice shrill over speaker. Where are my kids? She screamed, alternating between threats and tears. Dad, with Ms. Ellis nodding, said we were safe and she'd hear from his lawyer. Mom's curses cut off as he hung up. The next week was a whirlwind of legal meetings. A social worker, Mr. Patel, interviewed us, his questions probing but kind. We told our story again and again to him, to Miss Ellis, to a judge at an emergency custody hearing. Mom appeared in court, her hair perfect, her dress conservative, playing the role of a devoted mother. She didn't look at us, her focus on the judge as she claimed Dad had kidnapped us. But our evidence spoke louder. Mia's notebook, the photos, Tanya's statement about our escape. The judge granted Dad temporary custody pending a full investigation, and Mom's face crumpled, her facade cracking. Life in Canton was a new world. Dad enrolled us in a new school, a sprawling campus with teachers who didn't know our history. Mia joined the science club, her passion reignited, while I tried out for basketball, my lanky frame finally useful. Dad got us into therapy with Dr. Gui, a calm woman who helped us unpack the years of fear and guilt. I'd wake from nightmares, convinced Mom was at the door. But Dr. Nguyen taught me breathing exercises, grounding techniques to anchor me in the present. Mom didn't fade quietly. She filed motions to regain custody, called neighbors to spin tales of Dad brainwashing us, and once showed up at our school, shouting until security escorted her away. The court ordered supervised visits, but Mia and I refused. Our trust in her shattered. Evidence mounted against her. Mr. Delaney, the hardware store owner, testified about seeing Mom slap Mia in his parking lot. Mrs. Larson, Ethan's mom, described Mom's favoritism. The turning point was Mrs. Jenkins, a neighbor, who admitted witnessing Mom lock Mia in the garage for hours as punishment. Her testimony, heavy with regret, sealed Mom's fate. 6 months after our escape, the judge granted Dad full custody. Mom was ordered to complete parenting classes and therapy before any visitation, her rights reduced to supervised contact. As the gavel fell, I watched her, expecting rage, but saw only defeat. That night, we celebrated with burgers and milkshakes. Mia's laughter, a sound I hadn't heard in years. We weren't naive, trauma lingered in our flinches, our nightmares, but we were free. A year after our escape, in the fall of 2012, life in Canton felt like a fragile gift. Mia, now 16, was thriving in her science club, her experiments earning her a spot at a state competition. I was 14, starting 8th grade, my basketball skills earning me a spot on the junior varsity team. Dad's apartment was home, cluttered with our books, Mia's sketches, and my sports gear. Therapy with Dr. Nguyen was a weekly anchor, helping us navigate the scars. Mom left my guilt for enabling her. Mia's struggle to believe she was enough. We were healing, but the past wasn't gone. In October, a letter arrived from Mom, forwarded through Dad's lawyer. It was brief, written in her looping script, claiming she'd started therapy and was working on herself. She asked to meet, supervised by her therapist and Dr. Ngui, to make amends. Dad left the decision to us, his expression neutral but supportive. Mia and I debated for days, the letter await on our kitchen table. What if it's a trick? I asked, my voice low. It probably is, Mia said, twisting her hair. But what if she's actually trying? Don't we want to know? We agreed to one meeting. No promises. The day arrived, a chilly Saturday, and my stomach churned as Dad drove us to the counseling center. Mom sat in a small room, her hair loose, her face bare of makeup, a version of her I didn't recognize. Her therapist, Dr. Lee, and Dr. Nguyen flanked her, their presence a buffer. Mom didn't try to hug us, didn't smile. Thank you for coming, she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard. She spoke first, explaining her diagnosis, narcissistic personality disorder, and how therapy was showing her the harm she'd caused. I favored Lucas because I saw you, Mia, as a threat, she admitted, her eyes on the floor. I was wrong, and I'm trying to understand why I did it. Mia went next, her voice steady but tearful. You made me hate myself, she said. Every day, I thought I was broken because you couldn't love me. I struggled to speak, my throat tight, but managed. What you did wasn't normal. We're still picking up the pieces. Mom cried. A raw, unfamiliar sound. Dr. Lee kept her from deflecting, guiding her to listen. When Dr. Nguyen asked if we wanted another meeting, we said, not yet. As we left, Mom handed us envelopes, asking us to open them later. In the car, Dad didn't pry, just squeezed our shoulders. At home, we opened the envelopes. Mine held a $70 check with a note. This belongs to Mia. I shouldn't have taken it. Mia's held a small paintbrush set, one she'd begged for years ago. The gestures were small, but they were something, an acknowledgement of her wrongs. Do you think she's changed? Mia asked, her voice quiet. I don't know, I said. Maybe she's trying, but it's not our job to fix her. Mia nodded, and we sat in silence, the weight of the meeting settling. Forgiveness wasn't ours to give yet, maybe ever, but we had each other, and that was enough. By the spring of 2013, our life in Canton had settled into a rhythm I'd never dared imagine. Mia, 16, was a star in her science club, her plant growth project earning her a scholarship to a summer STEM camp. I was 14, my basketball team making it to regionals, my jump shot finally consistent. Dad's apartment was bursting with our lives. Mia's medals on the fridge, my sneakers by the door, a calendar marked with school events and therapy sessions. Dr. Nguyen's office was a safe space where we unpacked the guilt, fear, and hope that defined our journey. Nightmares still came, but they were rarer. The shadows of Mom's house fading. Christmas had been a highlight. Dad letting us deck the apartment with lights and a lopsided tree. He gave Mia a microscope, me a new basketball. And we got him a toolbox engraved with our initials. Mom sent generic gift sweaters, a card with no personal note. We thanked her via text, then moved on. Her presence a footnote in our joy. Monthly meetings with her continued, supervised and cautious. She was making progress, asking about our lives with genuine curiosity. But the damage was deep, and trust was a slow build. In April, Dad started dating Lisa, a librarian with a warm laugh and a knack for board games. She didn't try to replace Mom, just joined us for movie nights. Her homemade tacos a hit. Mia and I liked her. A relief after years of turmoil. One weekend, we found a box of old photos in Dad's closet, us as toddlers. Mom smiling in a way I didn't recognize. She wasn't always like this, Dad said, his voice heavy, but her need for control consumed her. Mia traced a photo of us at a fair, happy and carefree. Do you think she regrets it? She asked. I hope so, Dad said. But that's her burden, not yours. That night, Mia and I talked late, reflecting on our journey. I'm sorry for all the times I hurt you, I said, the guilt still sharp. You were a kid, she replied. We were both just trying to survive her. Dad joined us for breakfast the next morning, his off-key humming filling the kitchen as he flipped pancakes. Mia nudged me, rolling her eyes at his singing, and I laughed, the sound free and unburdened. School was good. Mia's science team won nationals, and I made the honor roll, my math grades finally clicking. We were kids again, not survivors. Our days filled with bike rides, ice cream, and the simple joy of being safe. One sunny afternoon, Mia and I raced our bikes down a hill near the park, the wind whipping past us. Her smile, bright and unguarded, was a victory greater than any court ruling. We'd escaped Mom's shadow, not just to survive, but to live, to laugh, to trust, to be the siblings we were always meant to be. As we pedaled home, I knew we'd carry scars, but we'd also carry each other. And that was the cycle we'd truly broken.